You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, Fort Scott Community College welcomes a new president who's no stranger to the area.
Also, a Webb City man with an extensive criminal history is now charged with killing a Christian County deputy and his wife in a crash near Springfield.
And we've got just a few clouds out there as we start this Thursday. However, pop-up storm chances returning. A look at your forecast coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Samantha Walker.
And I'm Chris Warner, just after 7 a.m. now on this Thursday, July the 3rd. Tomorrow, the big day for the celebrations, the fireworks. So, of course, you want to make sure you're playing it safe. And a little later, Dustin Luno from Joplin Fire Department is going to be here to tell you all about fireworks safety. And Fort Scott welcoming back a familiar face.
Yes, Fort Scott Community College now has a new president, and yesterday the school opened its doors to introduce him.
KOAM's Ty Parks attended the meet and greet and has more on his plans for success.
Fort Scott Community College new president Jack Welch is excited to be back home.
I had a lot of relatives live here. My father-in-law was pastor here. I owned the family farm for many years. And so my relatives live here. It's been a home here. And to be quite frank with you, one of my top mentors was the president of the college here.
Bailey, who was on the selection committee, tells us what set him above the others.
I believe that what put him above the rest of them is that he was from here. So it's less of a stranger coming in and trying to change everything and more of someone coming home.
Welch is looking at the state of the campus right now.
First things that we'll do here is we'll have a sunset review. That's where you look at every program. You see who your champions, the champion programs. You'll see the group that's succeeding well, and you'll also see some ones that are not succeeding quite well. You've got to look at that information, look at your data. Why is it where we are at?
The new president also is addressing the elephant in the room, football.
First of all, I'll say this. I believe in football. I believe in baseball. I believe in softball. I believe in band. I believe in the choir. I understand how all that works for a college. So will we take a look at it? Sure, we're going to take a look at all draw programs, not just one. We're going to take a look at all draw programs and see how that would affect our college.
Dr. John Welch also has a message for the incoming students.
We're going to be okay. Everything's going to work. We're going to win. But we're going to win because we're going to help you. We're going to help our students from the onboarding all the way through. Advising. These are the things that hurt colleges right and left. Being friendly to them, helping them, taking them from one step to the other.
At Fort Scott Community College, Ty Parks, KOAM News.
President Welch says he plans to make Fort Scott Community College an elite Kansas institution.
That's certainly great, of course, for the Fort Scott community to welcome back a familiar face, somebody who knows the area, is familiar with the school. That certainly helps, you know, to have that familiarity.
Yeah, and it's another big change kind of happening to some of our local colleges and universities. I know Pitt State just welcomed their new president, I think last week. So, you know, it's kind of exciting to see these changes come.
Absolutely. And some changes to our forecast, not so much with our temperatures, but with some rain chances and heat index values. Let's start though with that live look outside downtown Pittsburgh, and there it is. We've got just a few clouds as we start our day this morning, but we'll start to see those gradually increase. MoDOT camera 20th and range line in Joplin also looking pretty good, and I'm sure for some of the folks out there on your morning commute, this is maybe the last day you've got to work for the next few days, which is why again we're going to be talking fireworks safety, because we want all of you to come back and see us Monday morning at 5 a.m. All right, fog tracker. We do have some fog out there, eastern Berry County, and of course around the Grand Lake area as well. So parts of Delaware, Ottawa, and western McDonald County, and we've got some patchy light fog parts of southern Labette, Montgomery County, and into Washington, Craig, and the Wada counties this morning as well. So just be aware of that out there, and do be looking out for the potential for those rapidly changing visibilities. All right, into the afternoon we go. Partly cloudy skies, isolated pop-up stores, as we've mentioned before. This is another great example. Is there going to be a storm over Joplin at 4 o'clock today? Maybe, maybe not. Since pop-up storms don't have a specific trigger, they're random. Future Track just showing those little green splotches. It's just its way of saying Hey guys, you might get a storm later today. That's why they're called pop-up storms. So it's something to keep an eye on out there. And of course, remember, when thunder roars, head indoors. 70, both Joplin and Pittsburgh right now, and around the region. We do still have some cool spots. We've got Monette, Cassville, both at 64. We're starting to see more upper 60s and quite a few 70s out there, even some low 70s now. Heading into the upper 70s by 9, mid 80s by noon, upper 80s, low 90s for our highs. So our highs pretty close to normal. But with the humidity and dew point levels increasing, we're looking at heat index values today approaching the mid 90s. So just make sure you stay hydrated. We'll have another full look at your forecast, talk about tomorrow's pop-up storm chances and the other pop-up storm chances here in just a few more minutes. Samantha?
Chris, thanks. Developing this morning, a massive fire alerts first responders in Lamar, Missouri. Multiple agencies have been called to the former O'Sullivan building at 1900 Gulf. The massive complex is on fire and the sounds of the roof caving in can be heard. The 1.5 million square foot building is one of the largest manufacturing facilities in southwest Missouri. This is a developing story and will provide more information as it comes to us. Authorities charge a Webb City man with 2 counts of murder for a crash that killed a sheriff's deputy and his wife south of Springfield. The suspect is 40-year-old Garrett Cleaver of Webb City. He's suspected of being impaired when he smashed into a passenger van near Highlandville, Missouri on Monday night. Authorities say Cleaver was fleeing from a traffic stop when he crossed the center line and hit the other vehicle head-on. The 2 people in the van were Christian County Deputy Sheriff Mike Adams, who was off duty at the time, his wife, Ashley Adams, and their infant granddaughter. Mike and Ashley died at the scene. Their granddaughter was injured. She was released from the hospital yesterday morning. According to the Christian County Sheriff Brad Cole, another deputy spotted Cleaver leaving a known drug house and tried to pull him over. He says Cleaver sped away and the deputy lost sight of him, later driving up on the accident scene. Jasper County has an arrest warrant for Cleaver for missing a court appearance, and he has an extensive criminal history in Missouri and Kansas that includes both assault and resisting arrest.
Mr. Cleaver, the suspect, has an extensive criminal history, and it is what I would consider a violent criminal history. It is 52 pages long. Within that 52 pages, there's numerous felonies, felony convictions, arrests, to include vehicular homicide in Kansas that he was convicted of and spent time in Kansas.
Sheriff Cole says once Cleaver is released from the hospital, he'll be transported back to the Christian County Jail. Cleaver is now charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, fleeing a stop resulting in death, and other related crimes. An impeachment hearing is scheduled for the mayor of Carl Junction following a vote by the city's Board of Aldermen Tuesday night. The board voted to suspend Mike Moss as mayor last month, but legal counsel says it was an unlawful suspension. Following allegations of workplace harassment and an investigation, the Board of Aldermen is moving forward with articles of impeachment against Moss. A report of the investigation into the allegations against Moss has been released. According to that report, the investigation found many violations of the city code. Now 4 articles of impeachment have been brought against Moss. All present Board of Aldermen members at Tuesday night's meeting voted to move forward with holding an impeachment hearing. That hearing is tentatively scheduled for August 4th. We've reached out to Moss for comment and have not yet heard back. You can learn more about the allegations and articles of impeachment on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. To be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. A partial victory in court for music producer Sean Diddy Combs after the jury found him not guilty of the more serious charges against him. Fox News correspondent Connor Hansen has the latest.
The judge denying bond to Sean Diddy Combs as he awaits sentencing. It comes after the rap mogul was acquitted on the most serious charges against him. Sean Diddy Combs acquitted Wednesday on 3 of 5 charges against him, including sex trafficking and racketeering. The music mogul was visibly emotional in court as the verdict was read.
We had a wonderful jury. They listened to every word, and they got the situation right, or certainly right enough.
On the 2 guilty counts for prostitution charges, Combs could be sentenced to as many as 10 years, though that's unlikely.
The starting point that the judge will work from under the sentencing guidelines will likely be 15 to 21 months.
The judge denied a request for Combs to be let out on bail while he awaits sentencing, saying his history of violence meant he could pose a threat to others. Legal experts say while the prosecution may have aired plenty of Combs' dirty laundry, they didn't present enough evidence to convince a jury he was guilty of the most serious charges.
The defense didn't put on a single witness. The defense tried their case within the prosecution case. And at the end of the day, it's a colossal failure by the prosecution.
Both sides will meet next week to discuss a date for sentencing. In New York, Connor Hansen, Fox News.
And those are our top news stories this half hour. Coming up next, Dustin Luno from the Joplin Fire Department joins us with a few safety tips to help keep you and your family safe this 4th of July. And later, House Republicans wrestle to pass Trump's big, beautiful bill. We'll have the latest from Capitol Hill. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. But first, here's a live look from Wolf Creek Park in Grove, Oklahoma. Dustin Luno from the Joplin Fire Department is here this morning to share tips for keeping your family safe while celebrating the 4th of July. Welcome, Dustin. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So I know people are very excited to celebrate the 4th of July, but we also know things can go wrong very quickly.
Things can, we're dealing with, fireworks, which are, flammable pyrotechnic charges. So we want people to be safe. We want people to have fun. But also enjoy the 5th of July, right? So, so we're going to have families over. We're going to have, the barbecue going and setting off fireworks. In the city of Joplin, you can set off fireworks to 11 p.m. So we're just asking, people to remain vigilant, be aware of their surroundings, and, use caution.
Perfect. Are there any things they should be doing maybe beforehand, making sure they read the instructions or setting up fireworks a certain way?
The biggest thing beforehand is just giving yourself distance. Like don't put all your fireworks right next to where you're firing them off, right? Take your stockpile, if you will, and set them away from where you'll be igniting them. That way, any spark or something that might happen doesn't travel over. Now everything is going off at once. That can be quite dangerous. One of the biggest things we see is improper disposal of spent fireworks. So the night's over, it's getting late, it's dark outside, you've set the fireworks off. Well, what do I do with that pile of fireworks now that are spent? Well, what you don't want to do is take them and put them in a trash can or put them in a trash bag and then take them towards your house, by the house, or in the garage. Yes. We have worked several fires over the years that'll be garage fires or the outside of the house will be on fire, specifically from spent fireworks that have sat there all night and begin to heat. And then it eventually catches the house on fire. So our recommendation would be absolutely we need to clean up after ourselves. So if you're firing off, maybe you pull it to a corner of the driveway or pull it to the curb and then leave it there over the night. Let it cool off all night. When you wake up on the 5th of July, come out the next morning, it's nice and cool, and you can take and dispose of it at that point. Clean up all your stuff. It's easier to do in the daylight anyway. You can see all the wrappers and things, right? So that's one of the best ways, easiest ways, is just give it some time.
Perfect. And I know some people recommend, having a hose next to them in case they want to hose down something if it goes
right.
bad.
That's not a bad idea if something were to happen, having a hose or maybe just a bucket of water. But for the most part, just keeping them separated, the individual firework may, detonate and go off, but it doesn't spread to something else.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Dustin. Chris will have a full look at your forecast when we come back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:18 now on this Thursday morning. Starting again with the fog tracker. We do have some patchy fog stretching Washington, Craig, Newada counties, Delaware, Ottawa, and McDonald counties, and eastern Barry County, with some of the more dense fog, of course, right around the Grand Lake areas. So do keep that in mind as you're commuting this morning. Maybe you got today off and you're heading down to the lake early. Just watch out for the fog. And then the other thing you want to watch out for, whether you're at the lake, the creek, the river, your backyard, whatever the case may be, we have those pop-up storm chances returning across the area. So again, Future Track is just simply showing these green splotches to say it could happen. A pop-up storm is possible. Are we going to get them right where they're showing up here? Maybe, maybe not. Future Track takes its best guess, but because they are truly, honestly, random storms, they could pop up just about anywhere. Future Track is just saying that we will have the environment for that. We'll lose them with the heating of the day. Best window is between about 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. Can we get a couple ahead and after that? Possibly, yeah. But the best window is from 2 to 6. Then we go to our Friday. Clear skies overnight, clear skies to start the day. Maybe a couple of stray showers our far western counties in the morning. Otherwise, we get additional pop-up storms for the 4th. So this is where it becomes a thing. Lake, river, creek, backyard, community event, whatever you may be doing, the number one thing you've got to remember with these pop-up storms is when thunder roars, head indoors. They will generate lightning in most cases. That lightning is dangerous. You do not want to be out on the water or out in your backyard or climbing a tree when one of these things pops up. So if you hear the thunder, get inside and just wait it out because they don't last very long, as you know. Tomorrow, better window from about noon to 7 on our 4th of July for these pop-up storms. So I know it's kind of sucky, but that's where we are. It's just one of those things where we don't control the weather. We only tell you about it. But as you can see also, I mean, they're pop-up storms. They're isolated. You could spend all day in Chinook, for example, tomorrow and not see a single thing. On the other hand, Chinook, you may get a pop-up storm. So just be prepared for that. And if you're heading out late evening, we should be seeing them die down around fireworks time, but we could still have a couple trying to linger out there. So again, just make sure you're paying close attention to the sky, and if you hear thunder or if it gets a little darker, you start to see lightning in the distance, just have a backup place to go for a little bit. Saturday, same story though. We'll have another round of those pop-up showers and thunderstorms as we head into Saturday afternoon. And that trend will continue as we head through the next several days. So as you can see, we've got mostly clear skies right now. Eventually we'll start to go partly cloudy. Low 70s by 8, low 80s by 11 a.m. Highs today really pretty close to normal, maybe a couple of degrees above, into the upper 80s, low 90s. But with the humidity, dew point levels increasing, that's the fuel for these storms, we're looking at heat index values today right around the mid 90s. Skies again clear late this evening and overnight, still mild, back down to about 70, and those pop-up storm chances from now through at least next Friday, upper 80s and the low 90s. So over the next few days with these storm chances, humidity, dew point levels, as we mentioned, we're looking at heat index values in the mid to upper 90s, maybe close to 100. So not extreme, but still uncomfortable. You still want to take precautions and stay hydrated. Let's check your forecast. We're back with more right after this. Well, while agencies like the Consumer Product Safety Commission urge people to use caution when handling fireworks, listening to the show can also lead to some health risks.
Gary Baumgarten has more on the importance of protecting your ears this 4th of July.
As preparations for 4th of July celebrations get underway across the country, health experts are warning of the dangers of setting off fireworks. One of the biggest concerns can be heard right away.
You can experience muffled hearing or tinnitus, which is ringing in the ears, pretty immediately after an exposure to a loud sound.
American Hearing and Audiology says explosions from fireworks can be louder than a jackhammer or a plane taking off, making it a severe risk for hearing loss.
Fireworks displays can come in at a loudness level of between 120 to 170 decibels, and the World Health Organization notes 140 dB is about the loudest sound level that a human adult should be exposed to.
Audiology experts like Kelly Bailey at Purdue University say the length you listen to loud noises can also damage your hearing.
OSHA defines about 85 decibels where they recommend wearing hearing protection because that's a level where if you're exposed to that for a few hours, you put yourself at risk for hearing loss.
Bailey says the time is cut in half for every 5 decibel increase. Meanwhile, audiology experts recommend hearing protection to keep your ears safe around fireworks.
And we often even suggest doubling up on hearing protection, so wearing foam earplugs plus earmuffs over your ears to really reduce that decibel level.
Keeping a safe distance from the display can also help to reduce the risk of hearing loss. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
Yeah, certainly you want to make sure you're taking care of yours because some of those fireworks can be very loud. Even the ones you set off at home can be very loud.
You know, I know some people have been making that switch to those silent firework lines that have become a little bit more popular. You know, veterans maybe enjoy those more. I know animals maybe enjoy them more.
Right.
Because like some people like seeing the lights, but maybe not the loud boom.
Right. And so if you do enjoy the loud boom, again, just take care of your ears, take care of yourself, and of course be safe. That's what Dustin Luna was talking about. Be safe with them, period.
Exactly. Well, coming up, a Southeast Kansas community takes action to care for its homeless pets, and they're doing it without taxpayer dollars.
And we've got a pretty nice start to the day out there, but pop-up storm chances are on the horizon. A look at your forecast when we come back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. I'm Samantha Walker. The city of Baxter Springs breaks ground on a much-needed animal shelter yesterday afternoon. The facility will be called the Ronald O. Thomas Animal Adoption Center. Organizers say that an influx of stray animals since COVID-19 left them with no choice but to rebuild. They also say thanks to 3 local donors, the new building will be completely funded.
There was a definite need. Our current facility only houses about 4 dogs, and this is going to multiply that probably 10 times over. So there are 10 runs for large dogs, 14 runs for puppies, and there will be cat facilities too in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 cats.
Right now, there is no set date for when the facility will be complete. An annual tradition blasted off last night at Crawford State Park. Visitors came out to the annual Lake Blast for some family fun ahead of the holiday. The party started yesterday evening with food, face painting, and live music, the Bourbon County Revival Band. Every year, the Friends of Crawford State Park host the pre-4th of July party. They say volunteers make all the difference when setting up an event this size.
You know, we have so many great volunteers with our friends group. They make it easy. It's just a lot of phone calls and picking up supplies at various stores and making sure they're all here the day of that we need it. But everybody pitches in. It makes it easy.
As you would expect, the night ended with a fireworks show. If your 4th of July plans have you staying in the area, but you're looking for something to do, don't worry, we've got you covered. Simply scan this QR code on your screen and head over to KOAMnewsnow.com to check out a list of Independence Day events right here in our area. You can find great food, great live music, great family fun, and plenty of fireworks shows. Celebrate the holiday right here in the 4 states. Now here's Chris with a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got a pretty decent start to our Thursday out there. However, we're going to start to see humidity and dew point levels increase, and that will increase our chances for some pop-up storms. Right now, though, live look downtown Pittsburgh looking fantastic this morning. Same from the MoDOT camera at 20th and Range Line in Joplin. Fog tracker, we're going there again because thankfully not overly dense fog, but we still have some patchy fogs. Parts of Washington, Nevada, Craig counties, Delaware County, of course, around the Grand Lake area, parts of Ottawa, Western McDonald, and very far eastern Berry County. If you look close enough, you can kind of see it right there. It is improving, and of course, the fog will continue to burn off this morning and eventually give us partly cloudy skies by mid-morning into the afternoon. And between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m., that's our best window for an isolated pop-up storm. We could get 1 or 2 ahead or after that time frame, but that's going to be the better window. So here we are in the future track, and here come those pop-up storm chances. And again, you're not necessarily going to get them right where future track says. It's just showing us that the atmosphere will be set up for some pop-up storms through the afternoon hours today. 70 in Joplin, 70 in Pittsburgh as well, and temperatures across the region look like this. Still a little cooler. Cassville City at 67, got some upper 60s, 66 in Stockton. We are starting to see more of those low 70s across the area. Eventually upper 70s by 9, mid 80s by noon, upper 80s, low 90s for our highs, so pretty close to normal. But with the humidity dew point levels out there, heat index values could be into the mid 90s, and we'll have a southwest breeze 5 to 10. Our pop-up storm chances continue for the next several days, and of course that means so does the heat and humidity. We'll go over all those details with you here in just a few more minutes. Samantha?
Thanks, Chris. Don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone, free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, the KOAM Skywatch weather app. The House remains stuck on a procedural vote as Republican leadership works behind the scenes to rally enough votes for President Trump's big beautiful bill. Fox News correspondent Christina Coleman has the story.
Most of our agenda is wrapped up into this legislation, so it must pass. We have to deliver for the people.
House Speaker Mike Johnson rallying Republican holdouts still undecided on the Senate's version of President Trump's big beautiful bill. Vice President J.D. Vance cast the Senate tie-breaking vote to pass the legislation Tuesday after hours of intense negotiations. But some House Republicans say the bill strays too far from the party's fiscal goals.
For me, it's about the debt and the deficit. What the Senate sent back has a lot of errors in it, but more importantly, it really blows up the deficit. And so I want to rein that in. I think that they move too quickly.
Others on both sides of the aisle say they're unhappy with the deep cuts to Medicaid and SNAP programs. That's the main sticking point for Democrats, who say they will vote against it.
This big ugly bill was made uglier by the Senate. It is an abomination to the nation. It is an insult, an injury to working families.
Outside of Washington, Americans are trying to make sense of what the bill may mean for them.
It makes no sense how he just bulldozing everything.
According to the Congressional Budget Office, while the bill will provide trillions in tax cuts, states with less resources may be forced to pick up the cost for cuts to SNAP programs. Some may end up leaning on food banks to fill the void.
It's going to be a tsunami of need, and food banks are not set up.
Meanwhile, cuts to Medicaid have some health officials worried.
We've got hospitals that are in danger of closing, rural hospitals that are going to be directly impacted by this bill.
The House has until the end of the week to meet President Trump's self-imposed July 4th deadline. Christina Coleman, Fox News.
That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, during a routine house project, a Minnesota man uncovers a hidden piece of history. But before we head to break, here's a live look from Wolf Creek Park in Grove, Oklahoma. Amazon Prime members receive an early deal ahead of Prime Day and the 4th of July holiday weekend. Amazon says starting today through Sunday, Prime members can get $1 off every gallon of gas up to 35 gallons at any participating BP, Amoco, or AMPM gas station. The deal is for one fuel purchase. Amazon says the offer is eligible for any active Prime members with an account linked to Earnify, a mobile app that gives users points on purchases at the gas pump. A rush to buy new cars ahead of tariff surcharges has cooled down. Reports say new vehicle sales data from dealers like General Motors, Ford, Toyota, and others show the big bump in auto sales ahead of President Donald Trump's April 5% auto tariff has now worn off. New car sales are expected to dip in June. New car buyers are paying about $46,233 for a new car on average, about a $1,400 increase from a year ago. Hosting a summer cookout usually requires serving up delicious treats from the grill. Fox News' Ted Linder takes a closer look as food safety specialists also point out ways you can help prevent foodborne illnesses.
Hosting can be a lot of work, especially if you're the one who's also cooking. To keep things easy, so you can focus on having more fun, grilling experts, the Grill Dads, Ryan Fay and Mark Anderson, say the secret is letting the sauces do all the work.
If you get a great sauce on there, that's what everybody's going to remember from the cookout, and you can let somebody else do the heavy lifting and then take all the credit.
The duo says anything from meats to veggies can be jazzed up with a simple store-bought sauce.
You know, people are like, oh, did you make your sauce? I'm like, no, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Besides basting meats, you can also leave them bare and provide different sauces for your guests to add afterwards.
As the ribs come off, people can choose their own adventure. You know, you can put out as many sauces as you want.
Meanwhile, food safety experts say you'll want to keep the tasty items you make from getting people sick. According to the CDC, bacteria on food can multiply fast if left at room temperature, or between the danger zone of 40 and 140 degrees.
Food can sit outdoors for a very short period of time, so usually we think about, for cold food, about 2 hours. and for our hot food, about 4 hours in time span. However, that is going to be shorter if our air temperature is greater than 70 degrees.
A meat thermometer can also help ensure you're not serving anything undercooked.
When we cook our hamburgers or any other type of ground meats, then we need to cook those to 155 degrees. Chicken, we need to cook that to 165 degrees.
Ted Lindner, Fox News.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:44 on this Thursday morning, and we do still have some patchy fog, mainly into northeastern Oklahoma at this point. Of course, a slightly denser fog around the Grand Lake area and stretching into parts of McDonald County, and we have some slightly reduced visibilities up around the Chanute area. That's all burn off before too much longer. In fact, it's already in the process of doing so. But as we head into the afternoon, we're looking at partly cloudy skies, and we start to see opportunities for those pop-up storms. So again, on the future track here, is there going to be a storm in these exact locations at these times? Maybe, maybe not. Pop-up storms, again, don't have a specific trigger, and so future track is taking its best guess. It's simply saying that really anywhere in our area, we could get one of these pop-up storms. The best window is between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. Could we get one or two ahead of that time or after that time? Of course, but that's going to be the best window for those today. Then our skies will clear out overnight. We'll start with clear skies for our Friday. And then as we go into the morning, could get a stray shower or two in our western counties. It's not very likely, but it's at least a slight possibility. And then by the afternoon hours, we see another round of pop-up storms, and of course tomorrow being the 4th, you just got to remember the main thing is when thunder roars, head indoors. You don't want to be out there because these storms, that's why they're storms. They generate thunder, they generate lightning. Lightning, of course, is dangerous. So the other thing to keep in mind too, you don't need to worry about your whole day being ruined. They're short-lived. They won't be out there long before they move on. But we do also have, as you can see, future track picking up on at least the possibility of a few additional pop-up storms tomorrow compared to today. Those will continue again from the afternoon, from about noon to 7 on the 4th is going to be the best window for these. Could there be a couple that last a little longer? Future Track believes there might be, and I'd say it's at least a possibility. So for fireworks shows and stuff, again, just make sure you're paying close attention. If you see lightning, you hear thunder, you need to get somewhere where it's a little safer until the storm passes. And we'll have more of those pop-up storm chances as we roll through the next several days. All right, 7th and range line, clear skies out there, and we have just a few clouds here and there across the area. Low 70s to start, going partly cloudy by mid-morning, making it to the low 80s by 11 o'clock in the morning. Excuse me. Now our highs today, relatively close to average. In fact, at least over the next few days heading into the weekend, our temperatures may only be a couple of degrees above normal. But the problem we're going to face is these pop-up storms, they need a little fuel to get going as well, not just the heat. They need some humidity, they need those increased dew point levels, and so our heat index values today are going to be approaching the mid-90s, and they could get a little higher over the next few days, upper 90s, maybe close to 100 at times. So make sure they're not going to necessarily be extreme, but you still want to make sure you're taking precautions, staying hydrated, and taking breaks outside. Southwest winds 5 to 10. As I mentioned, clear skies later this evening, back down to about 70 by 10 o'clock for the overnight lows tonight. Then pop-up storms now through at least next Friday. Temperatures upper 80s, low 90s. We get a little warmer next week. That's why, again, we could see some of these heat index values getting a little closer to 100 out there. So, again, just stay hydrated, take precautions. Let's check your forecast. We got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
You never know what you'll find when you peel back the layers of an old home.
In one Minneapolis neighborhood, a man started a simple siding project and uncovered a century-old surprise. Jeff Wagner brings us a story painted by time and found by luck.
Moisture, I think, is going to go right through all of this.
Sometimes new siding is just that. But every now and then, beneath layers of wood and weather,
no, we would never repaint it.
History peeks through.
The house is like a 1915 house, and it had the original lap siding on there, and it had gotten to be in pretty bad shape. We started the project, started the tear off, and that was when we discovered this gift that we were given that we didn't know we had.
A gift painted in red, green, and gold. A century-old gold medal flower ad hidden in plain sight.
I was absolutely floored. I had no idea. It's amazing what you find
The house, it turns out, wasn't even a house to begin with or even in the same spot.
Found out that it did exist one lot over as a store and then got relocated in 1915 and turned into a home. How are you?
Word got out fast.
I posted it on a Facebook group and that all of a sudden exploded. This is a great way to meet a neighbor.
A second ad was found on the north side, another ghost sign brought back to life.
I don't live in the same house that I lived in yesterday. It's just really weird. Yeah, it's a completely new history.
Now that the past has made itself known, the challenge is deciding how much of it to keep in the light.
The wife and I agree that we just can't see any way to cover up all of it.
For 110 years, this paint never saw the sun. Now that it has, it's hard to look away.
It hasn't seen a Viking Super Bowl, but neither have we.
Sometimes a wall has more to say than you think. You just have to listen.
Well, it's great to see that they're embracing that history, and you're like, well, this is part of our house now, it seems.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible out there. You know, I remember too, following the Joplin tornado, Main Street, some of the buildings that survived, there were other buildings that had been built onto them, and it uncovered similar things where old ads and phone numbers and things for businesses painted on those walls. So very unique to see. And like you say, great that they're embracing that as well. And we've got to embrace the heat for just a little bit. One more reminder, of course, we do have some patchy fog out there across the area, mainly into northeastern Oklahoma and especially around the Grand Lake area. So do keep that in mind. Once we head into the afternoon, partly cloudy skies, and then we'll get those isolated pop-up storms. Best window again is between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m., but we could get one or two maybe beyond that or even ahead of that. As we head into the 4th, like I've said 100 times in the last week and a half, I think, don't cancel your plans for the 4th. Just keep an eye to the sky, because between noon and 7, we have slightly better chances of maybe a couple of additional pop-up showers and storms out there. So the big thing to remember, as we've talked about too, is when thunder roars, head indoors. By 7, again, most of them will start winding down, but we could get a couple that maybe try and hold on out there toward fireworks time. So again, just keep an eye to the sky. If you hear thunder, if you see the lightning, make sure you get in somewhere just in case, because you don't want to mess around with that lightning. All right, a few clouds to start our day. In fact, you can see a couple of them way over there. Low 70s by 8, low 80s by 11, with partly cloudy skies building in by mid-morning. We're going to have another look at your forecast, plus the news you need to know right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities charge 40-year-old Garrett Cleaver of Webb City man with 2 counts of murder for a crash that killed a sheriff's deputy and his wife south of Springfield. Cleaver is suspected of being impaired when he crashed into a passenger van near Highlandville, Missouri, after being spotted leaving a known drug house Monday night. Cleaver is now charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder, fleeing a stop resulting in death, and other related crimes. An impeachment hearing is scheduled for the mayor of Carl Junction, Mike Moss, following a vote by the city's Board of Aldermen Tuesday night. 4 articles of impeachment have been brought against Moss. That hearing is tentatively scheduled for August 4th. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And as you head out the door, some patchy fog out there that's going to burn off. Upper 80s, low 90s, so highs near average, but heat index values to the mid 90s, and isolated pop-up storms out there. Best window again between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m., but we could get a couple before that, could get a couple after that as well. Then we'll have clear skies later this evening and overnight, back down to 70. More pop-up storm chances for the 4th. Best window there looks to be between noon and 7, but we could get a couple after that. So just remember, whatever you're doing tomorrow when thunder roars, head indoors. Just keep an eye on the sky. Pop-up storm chances continue through at least next Friday. It keeps our heat index values pushing into the upper 90s, getting close to 100 as well. So just make sure you're staying hydrated and taking precautions.
Well, thanks, Chris. I know we've seen a lot worse weather for the 4th of July.
We certainly have.
Well, the city of Chanute announces a proud moment on social media yesterday. For the first time in the history of the Chanute Police Department, an all-female shift took to the streets to serve and protect the community.
The department says these officers are paving the way for future generations by showing them there is no limit to what young women can accomplish. The proud officers from left to right are Supervisor Ornelas, Officer Cavender, and K-9 Handler Goodwin. Certainly very cool to see. And like I said, there's no limits to what you can do if you set your mind to it.
No, and you know, there may be like a young girl in Chanute or Southeast Kansas who looks and says, you know, I can do that now.
Absolutely. Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. We will be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great rest of your day.